Howdy there. So a couple days ago, I got to see Senna, a documentary about the career, mostly, of Ayrton Senna. I suppose one of the greatest Formula One racers ever. I don't really know much about the sport, but it would seem that, he seemed pretty awesome. He seemed pretty focused, and, well, they did make a movie about him, so he must be, up there. I thought it was excellent. I'm going to give it a 9, a solid 9. I couldn't help but think, throughout watching it, right now, I couldn't help comparing it to Man on Wire, the documentary about the tightrope walker, specifically the one who did it tightrope between the World Trade Center. It's a documentary. It's about his career. We don't get to see much of his life. In fact, I think what we do see of his life is handled very cleverly. Like, we'll see stock footage of him meeting someone, and it's like on a television show. And then later we'll see home video footage, and you realize that, hey, that's the the woman from the talk show. So that's like, you're left to connect the dots. I found a personal connection with this film. Athletes and artists are really, to me, the different sides of the same coin. Artists make money. They're driven by passion to do what is in their mind. They see something in their mind, and they must express it. It must be made reality. An athlete can be driven by passion, fueled by passion, make money simply by doing something physical with their body. Both are in essence, indescribable. They both happen, if you're doing it well, unconsciously. And they are both gifts. So I think athlete and artist are two very similar terms. And again, I think they share a lot of similarities, qualities, what have you. Because I want to call this man an artist. Because I feel that there is no other word for him. But he is an athlete. He does something that, an artist, a painter, musician could not do. And that is survive, by going 200 miles per hour around curvy-ass city streets, while people around you are also going 200 miles per hour. It's just something that you have to be born with. And he speaks a lot about that. And so I found a lot of hope in the story. I identified strongly with some of the themes presented here. And most of the themes presented are, living your dream, never compromise, be driven by passion no matter what. If you don't feel it, don't do it. he speaks a lot about God. He's very Christian. He's Brazilian. And I don't know if Brazil is mainly Catholic. I'm not sure, but very Christian. And he speaks a lot about being talked to by God, seeing God, giving himself over to God. You know, taking no credit for his actions, saying that it is God working through him. I get that. You know, he talks a lot about destiny. You know, he talks a lot about having no choice. He talks a lot about being born for it. Again, I guess that kind of falls under destiny. But this is stuff that occupies my mind most of the time. So to go and see a film where someone is basically espousing my philosophies back to me, then, you know, I'm going to love it. And that's, you know, again, I draw comparisons to Man on Wire. Man on Wire, he talks about many of the same things. I'm not sure who directed this. I believe it's a... I mean, it's a foreign film, I'm pretty sure. But it's also from ESPN Studios. Now, I don't know if ESPN Studios had something in making it, producing it, or if ESPN Studios are just responsible for the stateside distribution. So I want to call it a foreign film. I mean, it's heavily subtitled. I mean, it is subtitled. So I think that almost constitutes as a foreign film. But what country it comes from, I'm not sure. I want to say France, really. But, I mean, it could be Brazil. I have no idea. But as documentaries go, it's got to be the best documentary I've seen this year. Tabloid and Project NIM are also, you know, big standouts. But where they tell a story, this tells a life. And I enjoyed hearing about his life. He was a fascinating character. The camera work is also amazing. You see a lot of... I mean, if you're a racing fan, one, you probably haven't had the chance to see this because it didn't get a very big release. It only went to a few screens here in Los Angeles, so I doubt that many other places had an option to see it. But I can't recommend this movie more if you're a race car fan or a fan of racing. There's obviously, like, very intimate behind the scenes, behind closed doors footage. Not that it's admittedly old. Senna was at the peak of his career from the late 80s to the mid 90s. And we get to see that world as it was then. And I mean, we get to see like closed door meetings, no one else but racers and administrators. So it's a fascinating look behind the business, the sport of racing. And you also see fantastic, unbelievable camera work, footage, I guess, you know, stock footage from, like, the race car. I don't know where the camera is attached, you know, because you see, like, a little side of the helmet. And, I mean, it's amazing. You know, it's amazing because sometimes you practically go through these races with Senna, and you see him, you see what he sees, and you kind of, especially on a big screen, I mean, it's nothing like the experience, but you get a taste of what it's like to move at that speed, you know, what could possibly be going through your head moving at 200 miles per hour. So the camera work is beautiful. Really, it's a gorgeous film because all of this footage is, you know, what? You know, 25 years old, some of it 30 years old, and it looks new and fresh. I mean, it's a good-looking film, well-constructed. Again, focuses on his career. Really, like, you start his career with him, you see him, like, go-kart racing, which I didn't even know could lead to, like, I didn't know go-kart racing was, like, minor leagues. But you see him there, and you see him evolve. Really, I don't really know what else to say about it. I loved it. You know, I loved it. I hope I get to see it again one day. I'm sure I will. The same way I hope I see Man on Wire again someday. I just haven't. But it is a fascinating portrait of a fascinating individual. And I think if you're a fan of documentaries, it's one of the best of the year. If you're a fan of racing, you're going to cream in your jeans. If you're a fan, again, of, you know, if you are an artist, if you are an athlete, if you are compelled to do something that you don't quite understand, then you will find a deep connection to this film. I mean, I really don't know what else to say. I had a great time in the theater. I'm glad I caught it. I really wanted to see it, and I saw it on the last day it was in town. So I'm very happy that I managed to see it. And I think it's easily one of the best films I've seen this year. I always tend to be more moved by documentaries because they are an actuality. They present a reality, and I think that's important. And I love scripted work, but documentaries just touch me, you know. So I think, you know, it's easily one of the best films of the year, and the best documentary I've seen in a while. So it's great. I can't recommend it more. Rent it as soon as you possibly can. Certainly it won't be too much longer before it's out on disc. But a great film. A great film. So that's Senna, and I'm going to give it a strong 9. And in the future, I don't see how it can go anywhere but up, you know. But right now, it's a very strong 9. One of the best films I've seen this year. It's Senna. Thank you very much.